Good. All right, thank you. I'm going to call to order this regular meeting of the Board of Education evening. We are going to begin this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance, and you're all invited to join us. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're so happy to see all of you here this evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to ask for approval of the agenda, but very quickly, we have one addition. I would ask that we add a 9K under new business, and this is a 2025-26 budget transfer request. So with that modification, is there a motion to approve the agenda? So moved. Thank you, Meg. Is there a second? Second. Thanks, Angela. Angela. Sorry, Stacey. I was just thinking about Angela. Thank you, Stacey. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Approval of the consent agenda. We have 4 items on the consent agenda this evening. Approval of the May 6th Board of Education regular meeting minutes. Approval of a box tops donation to Brownstone Intermediate in the amount of $50.80. Approval of the box tops donation to Gildersleeve Elementary School in the amount of $12.30. And approval of an out-of-state field trip for the PHS cross-country team to East Otis, Massachusetts in August. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion, but I have a question. Okay.
Yeah, 1 second. Is there a second? I'll second. Seconded by Kim. Thanks. Discussion, Meg?
So the question I have is, I saw that Isha Murphy had requested a change of venue to, it's still, I guess, Otis, but it's a different state park. Is that reflected on this document? To Talon Mass State Park? Because he.
Is it still in East Otis?
I believe it is.
Otis, he sent an
Yeah.
email that.
He sent an email.
They must have toured to.
They did,
So
yeah.
They just want.
Sounded good. It looked like a really, I looked at the site, it looked like a really cool place to go.
I think it's a very minor shift and shouldn't impact our approval of the request.
So I would just suggest that the language be updated at some point to reflect the new Talon State Park.
Sarah, sorry, did you have something?
Make a saying.
Oh, to make that
Just
modification.
to modify the request to reflect that it's at a new location, Talon Mass State Park.
Great, thanks for that.
Yeah. So that motion was made and seconded.
Made and seconded with the modified language from Meg. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Audience of citizens. Do we have anyone with us this evening who wishes to address the board at this point? Is there anyone online who wishes to address the board at this point? Nope. All right, there'll be a second opportunity for public comment towards the end of our agenda. If they change their mind. We are going to move to our Portland Public Schools spotlight, and boy, are we lucky because we have 3 spotlights this evening. So it looks like the 6th grade leadership program at BIS is the first item on the agenda. Mr. Searson, would you like to introduce?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
Our Brownstone Spotlight tonight is obviously another example of some of the amazing things that our students continue to do and continue to work towards. This one's pretty unique and special because it's about 2 years in the making for us. Last year, as a staff, we started to talk about how do we give students a different kind of platform to comfortably share their ideas, opinions. How do we kind of build on the natural leaders that we already have in 5th and 6th grade and give them opportunities to learn some leadership skills as well. What we learned as a staff, though, is even if you have a great idea, when you roll it out without concrete steps to take next, shocker, you don't really get much out of that, right? So the learning experience for us is we know we want this. We know we want to, focus on this and prioritize this. That made it possible for us to hit the ground running this year. We found, as you will soon see, an amazing group of students. And because we started early and we're kind of all on the same page about the vision with which we kind of wanted to start this and move forward with this, it yielded a lot of pretty unique opportunities that these 6th graders are going to talk about shortly. A lot of staff members had a hand in doing this. Mrs. Gelino, Ms. Lisk, Ms. McDonough, a lot of gen ed teachers, as well as Mr. Santaveneer, and he's going to talk a little bit about, some specifics in terms of our sixth grade leadership and our goals before these guys get up here and share with you all the things that they were able to accomplish this year.
Good evening. So our leadership team here tonight. And one theme is that it's never too early to start, and starting to develop leaders at the intermediate level is awesome. So I don't want to take away from them. They have a lot to share with you about what they've done this year. So CJ, Christian, you're going to lead us off tonight. So CJ Quinnell is going to introduce his team.
Good evening. I'm Christian. I am proud to be one of the 8 members of the Brownstone leadership team. Throughout the year, our team facilitated various events and activities. In addition to that, we went to the Ryan Lee Memorial Leadership Conference and connected with other leadership teams. Tonight, we will share with you what we have done this year. But before we share our presentation, I would like to share the members of our amazing team. Our leadership team includes me, Christian Quinnell, Andrew Quinnell, Benjamin Martinez, Kobe Looker, Paulette Brought, Spence Papke, and finally Lauren DeMerchant. Next, Andrew will tell you about what we have done this year. Take it away, Andrew. Hey everybody, as you already know, my name is Andrew Quinnell and I'm on the leadership team. I'll be speaking to you about some of the work we have done this year. That includes our circle meetings, penny wars, and last but not least, the leadership conference. Our first task was to organize and facilitate community circles, which was very fun and helped us connect with our fellow students. Following that, Penny Wars was a fundraising experience where our leadership team concurred that if we could get our peers to donate money, our group could use that cash to give our school a fun afternoon. Thirdly, Spirit Week, and that assisted the school morale and raised money for a good cause. Finally, we went to the leadership conference, which gave us the opportunity to meet others from different schools, and we got to learn what their difficulties and how they solve them. That is some of the work we have done this year. Now I'm going to send it over to Spence Papke.
Hi, my name is Spence Papke and I'm part of the Brownstone leadership team. One of the activities we have done is called community circles. How this worked is all 8 members of the leadership team were split into groups and sent throughout the school. The groups consisted of typical questions like, what are your favorite hobbies, and more. We did this for 3 days. The main goal of these circles was to bring all of the students together and to create friendships. Some of the positives of the circles was connecting with students we don't usually talk to and getting a perspective of others' hobbies. I will now hand it off to Ben Martinez. Hi, I'm Ben Martinez, and one of the members of the leadership team. I'm here to talk about Penny Wars and how much money we raised for the PTO. Penny Wars was a great success, and we raised $413 for the PTO. The competition was Mr. Santaveneer believing in the 6th graders and Mr. Sherson believing in the 5th graders. And by the pictures, I think you know who won.
Awesome video.
I will not hand it over to Colette Brought.
Good evening, I'm Colette, and I will be talking about the success of Spirit Weeks here at BIS. Here at Brownstone, we have done many Spirit Weeks, and some were even created by fellow students. At BIS, we had one Spirit Week in particular. It was where we raised $275 for CCMC. Sometimes kids create their own and have a fundraiser for a good cause in a fun way. My final point is these Spirit Weeks are a great way to have fun and raise some money. As you can see, Spirit Weeks are fun and effective. Hi, my name is Lauren. This year we have been invited to the leadership conference held at the Cheshire High School. We have taken many experience from the conference, and we will apply these lessons as we continue to grow as leaders. At the Ryan Lee Leadership Conference, we did a lot of team building activities that taught us how to work together and persevere no matter what you face. We participated in some circle activities discussing topics like helping someone alone on a buddy bench and what to do if someone was left out of an activity. We had different leaders present to us and learned to start early, work hard, and work together. The conference was put on the senior leadership team from Cheshire High School.
When we went to the Ryan Lee Memorial Conference, we learned many lessons. One was to start early. Starting early can help you have more time to develop plans, and it can lead to a less rushed approach. In order to communicate, you have to listen. Listening, by actively listening, you gain a deeper understanding of the other person's perspective, build stronger relationships, and foster collaboration. Third was to be a leader. Leaders point others into the direction of success and also inspire others to be leaders. Work together. More people can lead to better success. Be selfless. Spreading it out to other people and giving yourself to other people can lead to more collaboration and friendships. And also, anyone can have a big impact. The smallest of ants can lift 20 times their size.
Some things we may be doing in the future at the middle school are having some fundraisers, doing more spirit weeks, and having a 7th grade student council. Back at Brownstone, we plan to have a 5th and 6th grade leadership team and schedule more circles. And all of this is helping us learn what a leader truly is. Thank you.
Right. So as you guys can see, it's a pretty impressive group of kids, and just knowing them and their personalities, not only did they take everything that we challenged them with and ran with it, but they would have done so much more if we had time in the year. Any questions?
How many of you are heading to the middle school next year?
All 6 graders.
Okay,
Yep.
all of you are heading to the middle school, and will all of you be interested in participating in the middle school student council when you get there? Yeah, excellent. Glad to
Love
hear
it.
it.
I love the idea of circles. I think that is a very good way to enhance and draw more kids into participating.
Yeah,
I think that's really the best.
and you know, I think they would probably agree that when they first started it, probably a little uncomfortable in that moment, right? But I mean, they muscled through it and got better at it as the week went on. It was really impressive to see.
They take it with them to 7th grade.
Yeah, me too.
Absolutely. Good.
Any other questions or comments for board members? No? Thank you all so much for coming and sharing that with us tonight. That's awesome. All right, our next school spotlight is, Charles, are you gonna introduce it?
I'm gonna introduce Goose Lawson, and
Excellent.
we're gonna co-introduce this.
Okay, wonderful. The Connecticut Association of Public Schools Superintendent Student Recognition Award.
Oh, it's that time of year where we get to celebrate some accomplishments and some outstanding students. Ms. Lawson, would you like to help me read a little bit?
Good evening, board members. Thank you for having me this evening. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the 2 winners of the Connecticut Association for Public Schools Superintendents Awards for Excellence. Would the first winner, Amelia Dietrichson, please come up and join me? And right here. Amelia is an intellectually curious student who demonstrates an unmatched enthusiasm for learning. Amelia has earned the respect of the school community through her academic prowess and community involvement. Amelia is a National Merit Commended Scholar and was recognized by the National Merit Scholarship Corporation this past fall for her outstanding academic achievement on the PSAT. Amelia has chosen rigorous courses at Portland High School and is described by her teachers as a role model and a leader in the classroom. Last year, Amelia received the Academic Excellence Awards in Advanced Placement Government and Politics and Advanced Placement French. Additionally, Amelia has an aptitude for mathematics and received the Rochester Institute of Technology Women in STEM Award. Amelia is involved in a variety of extracurricular activities, such as Student Senate, School Musical, National Honor Society, and she's a swimming instructor. After graduation, Amelia will attend college to study math, economics, and data science. She plans to pursue a career in actuarial science. Please join me in congratulating Amelia Dietrichson. After written, you want to join Amelia? Thank you, Amelia. I'm so glad that our students from Brownstone are here tonight to watch us recognize these outstanding high school students. Our next honoree is Annabelle Marushak. Annabelle is a driven and motivated senior at Portland High School. Annabelle has been a successful leader in her school community, on her soccer, basketball, and track teams, and in her advanced level courses. Teachers describe her as conscientious and dependable. She has shown grace and patience through a rigorous year of balancing advanced level schoolwork, college applications, a challenging military academy application process, and all of the activities that she does. Last spring, Annabelle was honored for her academic excellence in chemistry, her leadership to her class, and her service to the Key Club. She was also the recipient of the Rensselaer Medal Scholarship. Anna sets high standards for herself and is driven to meet her goals. She is a role model and an exemplar in the class of 2025. She hopes to attend a four-year college and plans to go to law school upon graduation. Congratulations, Annabelle.
Congratulations to both of you. Dr. Britton, while you're up there, are you going to introduce the next item as well? It's our CABE Student Leadership Award.
I am. So that was just the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents Award. So I got to help confer that one. Would you like to join us up here since this is the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education Award? Yeah, please come on up. We can do this together. So that was the Superintendent Association. This is our Board of Education Award, and I'd love it if you joined us and
Maybe I'll just add a little bit of that.
Good evening. Leadership is the theme this evening. Our next honoree for the CABE Leadership Award is Rita Lynn. Rita is a hardworking and conscientious student who is a leader both inside and outside of the classroom. For the past 3 years, Rita has maintained a level of academic excellence in rigorous honors and AP classes, while also being an active participant at Portland High School. As an active member of the Student Senate and class officer for the class of 2026, Rita has worked for the past 3 years to improve and shape the school's environment and sense of community. As a testament to her academic achievement, leadership, and service to the school and its community, Rita was recently inducted as a member of the National Honor Society. Rita is an invaluable member of the PHS community. Please join me in congratulating her. And my final, last but certainly not least, award winner this evening is Jerry Hall, who was dressed for the occasion. They won. So you know. Jerry Hall is a dedicated and diligent student who epitomizes the characteristics of a strong leader. He excels in honors and AP classes and is a role model to his peers. Jerry is involved in a number of extracurricular activities, including the Portland High School Robotics Club, the musical, the jazz band, the engineering club, Model United Nations, and is the class president for the class of 2025. 26. He also serves as a positive example for his peers on the cross country, basketball, and baseball teams. As a recent inductee of the National Honor Society, Jerry was also awarded numerous academic excellence awards and impressively the Exemplary Student Achievement Award. Jerry is a vital member of our school community, and it is my pleasure to honor him and ask the board to honor him with this award today.
Yeah, we have some middle school students to recognize, so.
Yeah, so we'll serve as the bridge between elementary and high school, as we often do. I had to wait till Jerry sat down before I could stand up for my ego. So we also have two recipients of our CABE Leadership Award we are here to recognize this evening. The first honoree I'd like to call up is Dylan Wells. Dylan is come on over here, Dylan. Dylan is an 8th grader at Portland Middle School. He's a dedicated scholar athlete and leader. He appreciates the small, close-knit community at PMS, where you can truly get to know everyone. This year, he's embraced a leadership role both in the classroom and on the basketball court. As a standout player, Dylan not only excels in the game, but also supports his teammates in their development, demonstrating teamwork and mentorship. Academically, Dylan's favorite subject is math, and he values the way Portland Middle School provides just the right level of challenge to help him grow. His teachers consistently praise his positive attitude and collaborative nature, noting the impact he has both on his classmates and the school community. His advice for success has always been to build strong relationships with teachers. They are there to help and support you as they have him along his way. Dylan's dedication, work ethic, and positive influence make him a deserving recipient of the Scholar Leadership Award. Congratulations, Dylan.
Congratulations.
Next, I'd like to call up our second recipient, Maureen Nahar. Maureen is an 8th grade student at Portland Middle School. She's a talented communicator, artist, and creative thinker. She thrives both in science and ELA, drawn to the wonder of exploring the unseen world and the joy of expressing herself through writing. Maureen appreciates the variety of offerings at Portland Middle School and has many extracurricular opportunities that she has availed herself of. She's an active member of the art club and student council, and has attended the art leadership conference this past year to develop her skills. One of Maureen's greatest strengths is her area for growth, is her ability to grow. During her time at Portland, she has been exhibited her confidence, especially when speaking to large groups of students. Her teachers and peers admire her ability to express ideas clearly and thoughtfully. She believes the keys to success are to live in the present rather than worry about the future, and to give yourself your best effort every day. Maureen's dedication, creativity, and leadership make her a deserving recipient of the Scholar Leadership Award. Congratulations, Maureen.
Well, congratulations to all of our honorees, such accomplished students. We're going to move on with our agenda, and you all are welcome to stay for as much of the meeting as you wish, but it is also absolutely okay if you have other things to get on with this evening. That's great. It's quite a all right. Okay, so our next item of business is our student representative report, and Caitlin and Liam, we're thrilled to have you both here.
So here at the high school, May's been a pretty exciting month. Last Thursday, the English department took the freshman class to go see an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. And this is in line with their current text, which is Romeo and Juliet. And students, of course, love it here. In addition, that Thursday, the music department headed to Duncan Stadium to perform and did a fantastic job as always. Next up for them is the Memorial Day Parade. It's this Sunday. Class elections, pretty busy time here at the high school. Class elections for the 2025-2026 school year, and are including Senate elections and class officers will be held on the 28th. In addition, senator elections for internal roles will also be held on the 28th. Spring seniors nights are wrapping up this week with baseball senior night tomorrow afternoon. Now, on to conference and state games.
On May 9th, prom was held at Glastonbury Country Club for juniors and seniors, where the theme was Mamma Mia. The food was delicious, and students had a great time dancing and hanging out with their friends. Students wrapped up their AP classroom exams last Friday. Despite the technical difficulties with AP Psychology exam and the Wi-Fi on Friday, students are relieved to have completed their respective courses. Last week was Teacher Appreciation Week, and to celebrate, Student Senate organized breakfast bar, thank you note, gift for teachers, and a dessert bar. Student and families volunteered to donate various food and dessert items, which made the event possible. Thank you to the families for your generous donations, and for the teachers for everything you do for our students. Yesterday, the class of 2025 had our senior trip, where we traveled to Boston for the day. The activities included a duck boat tour, lunch and shopping at Quincy Market, and a very chilly Sox game at Fenway Park. Of course, Boston won with a score of 3-1. I would like to thank all the teachers, students, parents, and administrators for planning and executing a memorable senior trip, which I think we're all exhausted from.
What time did you get home?
We got back here at like 12.
Ooh, that's a long day.
And then on Thursday, this week, May 22nd at 6 p.m., the high school will be holding their annual awards night. So, and you're interested.
Thank you so much for those updates. Are there any questions for student board reps? Thank you. All right, communications and updates. Dr. Britton.
Okay, few things for you. So first, I have a couple of resignations. Very sorry to let you know that Christina Ballou, one of our paraprofessionals at Brownstone, has taken another position. We wish her all the best of luck. She's resigning effective May 30th. So good luck, Christina. Wish you all the best. And I was very sorry to learn, I went over and sat down with her, that Jen Visicchio, one of our Gildersleeve teachers, is leaving. Jen lives in Wallingford, right down the street from me, and we're on call each morning in case the cars don't work or whatever it might be. I'm really sorry to see Jen, she, in my conversations with her, she's leaving for all the right reasons having to do with time for her family. But she did say when that phase of her life gets a little, some water under the bridge, she might want to come back. I said, I would welcome Jen back with open arms. She's wonderful. Wish her all the best of luck. And as a reminder, and also a reminder to Tricia, that everybody leaving the district is now going to have an exit interview with me, and I report that to the Board of Education Personnel Committee. So I know why Jen's leaving. I'm very sorry to see her go, and I wish her all the best. But hopefully, it's just a temporary hiatus, and she'll be the position ever opened up. We take her back in a heartbeat. Okay, so I have some really good news and some maybe not so good news. Let me start with the not so good. You heard we had a situation Friday, right in the middle of the day, right in the middle of our AP testing, which is happening online. Our Wi-Fi went out. Right now, the internet still worked. Anything that was hardwired to the internet was working, but the Wi-Fi went off. This is what happens when you don't pay your bills. You don't pay your electric bill, the electric goes off, right? In this case, we had made a mistake. All right, IT director was unaware that the Wi-Fi was subject to going off. We had planned for it on July 1st, but it turned out that the date that our bill was due was well before that. We were surprised when it went off. It was a little disappointing. We jumped on it quickly. By Monday morning, we had it back on. We paid our bills, but this was a mistake. I don't know any other way to describe it. It was a human error. It was a communication breakdown. As you know, we're talking tonight about some changes in our technology department. Some of this happened because of this transition time that we're in. But otherwise, I think it was an honest mistake. I did speak with the folks involved in how it happened. It's not going to happen again because now we're on a subscription plan that is going to keep us regularly paying and not doing this in like 3-year lump payments or annual payments. So I'm very sorry that happened. I'm very glad that we were able to hardwire the computers that the 20 students taking the AP exams were up to the drops that you see there and get those submitted successfully. So it wasn't catastrophic. And we also had several days to submit those. So we didn't have to retake them. I would have been here all weekend if I had to make sure that got done. But I'm very sorry that happened, and I expected it to happen. So that was the bad news. Need to let everybody know that for about 24 hours or so, we were without Wi-Fi connectivity, but we've addressed the issue. We know how it was caused. It was not a technical, it was a human error. So, but it is fixed and it will remain fixed going forward. All right, so now on to the good news. That was the not so good news. The good news is that the budget has passed, right? Thank you, Portland voters. My only comments about this budget cycle is it was really quiet. Like there was not a lot of rancor. I didn't see much of anything out there on social media buzzing. There wasn't much in the River East. It was pretty quiet, and the voters came out and passed 2-1 with about 600 votes. That of course appreciation is extended to everybody who came out and voted for or against. Right? I mean, this is part of our democracy. The system doesn't work if people don't express their opinions. Thank you to everybody that came out and voted. The budget did pass, which is very helpful because now we are able to plan knowing what resources we have to work with. Shortly, I'm going to be talking to about some transfers we need to make within those lines that reflect changes that we made after we adopted the budget, have to do with minivans and some other purchases. But otherwise, the good news is that the budget passed and we are now able to go forward, planning effectively for the next school year. And of course, that budget starts July 1. Also, very good news that all but one of the Gildersleeve grants were approved. So I met with Andy, the Gildersleeve committee did meet and deliberate, and thank you to Chuck Hirschon. I wasn't able to go the night they met, so Chuck did a great job filling in for me and explaining all of these grants to the Gildersleeve committee. Obviously, he did a great job because they were all passed except one, and I'll explain which one that was. So the ones that did pass was the Brownstone Artists in Residence. So Broadway is coming to Brownstone next year. Looking forward to seeing that happen. Gildersleeve, we have funding to support our robotics club and purchase the equipment for that. Also at Gildersleeve, we're going to be able to purchase some new presentation equipment, LCD, and sound so that when you have presentations in the cafeteria, they're able to be seen and heard well. Portland High School and Portland Middle School, we have funding now to upgrade the music computer lab with Macintosh equipment, which is the industry standard for musical engineering and production. And as a reminder, we're getting that in 2 batches, first this year and second this year. Also at the high school, we're gonna have babies, the family consumer science child development course with the babies that cry and you don't feed them or take care of them, which hopefully will dissuade people from having children too young until you're ready. It's a wonderful thing, but not until you're ready, I would suggest. And then, of course, a school store, likely this time next year when we're here, it'll be right around the corner. Kate and our family consumer science teacher and librarian, and of course, Bob had collaborated on how we're going to design a school store over here to make t-shirts and printing and other types of things for students. Those are great. Always appreciate the Gildersley Grant Committee and their thoughtful approach to awarding us those grants. The one we didn't get was for the website. So the committee met and they felt like that one was more of an adult feature and wouldn't be used as much by students. They're really looking for things that benefit students, although this would have, they felt like, they liked the other ones a little better. So that website was somewhere in the neighborhood of $7,600 we were asking for. We're not going to get it right away, but there might be opportunities to find other revenue sources for that. But for the time being, our sort of clunky existing website is what we'll continue to use. It is what it is. It's kind of like 1990s-ish to me, but maybe someday we'll be able to update that, make it a little slicker. So thank you to the Gildersleeve Committee for all of those. Got an update from Bob on the boiler. Both of them are on order. PO's done, the order's out. We're expecting to receive those within 23 to 26 weeks. Oof, that's November. We're hoping for a long, warm fall, right? It does, right when they arrive is when it starts to get chilly. The leaves will likely be down right around then. Thanksgiving is what we're thinking. So we're just gonna have to watch the weather very closely and hope for a long, warm fall. But the boilers are ordered. They are coming. As a reminder, one works, right? So, the building could still have heat. It would just mean that one boiler is working really hard to provide the heat. Hopefully, if in that late fall period we need to heat the building, that one boiler will continue to work and get the job done. But of course, you're putting pressure on that one boiler, and it's the same vintage as the one that went. So we're aware. We have backup plans and we'll have to develop more backup plans, but good news is that the boilers are ordered and they'll be here within 23 to 26 weeks. You stop there. Any questions about any of that thus far?
I had a question. Was the data science class, was that a Gildersleeve grant?
Yes, that one went to that. I didn't say that one, did I?
No.
Yes, the data science was approved.
Okay.
Yeah, very excited about
For
it.
asking. That's a big one.
Good catch.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good catch.
Any other ones? I have one more. All right, so this is a big one. I included a memo in your packet. I just worked on it today and I'm sorry I didn't have, but I needed to sit down with Stephanie and get it organized. About how we want to allocate the end of year funding that we have available. And oh nuts. Like give me 1 second, I just gotta log back in here. Oh, you do? Yeah. So see. So right now, Stephanie is projecting as of today, and it's still moving a little bit here and there, that we're going to end the year with a $275,000 surplus. Okay, this surplus was caused by fewer people taking health benefits. We hired a lot of young teachers this year, and a lot of them stay on their parents' plans until they're 26. So we had fewer people request benefit packages than we had budgeted for. It was also, we did not fill some positions that we're going to fill tonight, hopefully, mid-year. So some mid-year resignations we didn't fill. As you know, that an additional $40 million was contributed to the ECS cost. We did receive our allocation for that in the amount of $79,000. That helped us quite a bit. And we revised, as you know, the billing we do to Hartford and are billing more and more assertively. Thank you, Olivia and Sarah, for making sure that those invoices go out and that we're charging Hartford for those services that we provide. So between all of those things, 275,000 is the number that Stephanie is projecting that we're gonna end with. At the last board meeting, you authorized Stephanie and I to transfer up to 150 into Fund 11, which is the maintenance fund very happy. We're gonna have just that fund has saved us quite a bit. And then of course, Fund 5, which is our school lunch fund. You authorized up to 35,000 for that. I'm recommending the follow to the board. Now, this isn't something that you are gonna vote to authorize. This is something I'm letting you know of, but if you have any issues or concerns about this, you should let me know now. Otherwise, you will formally vote to authorize these transfers in December when you do the end of year transfers after Stephanie closes the books and gives that to you. Just as a side note to this, I just met with the policy committee tonight. We are aware that there might be some policy related things we need to do to make this a more regular thing so that you're authorizing transfers more regularly throughout the year as opposed to waiting till December. The policy committee is going to be addressing that. I don't think it's a bad idea. It's something I'd like to talk to all of the policy committee and you about. This would be a great summer project, but it's not something we're going to need to do tonight. But what I do want to go over with you is my recommendations as of now is how we spend some of that surplus, because we want to get the POs out now to purchase the materials, because as of June 30th, those funds are no longer available to us. The first purchase I'm recommending is that we allocate $50,000 to purchase 20 Chromebooks and 46 desktop computers, like the ones that you see over here. We need the desktops to replace the ones at Gildersleeve and Valley View because the current units are no longer under service warranty. Windows 11 is outdated. They're not going to be receiving security patches. They are a threat to our network. We have to take them off our network and replace those machines. As far as the 20 Chromebooks, as you know, in next year's budget, we have allocated funds for all the rising fifth graders and ninth graders to get a new Chromebook under a 4-year warranty. But to keep the budget down, we removed Chromebooks for faculty. Some of our faculty Chromebooks are paperweights and old. So we don't have any funding in next year's budget to replace any of the faculty devices. What we'd like to do is purchase 20 Chromebooks and replace those faculty devices that are over 4 years old, 5 years old at this point. So $50,000 to purchase desktops and Chromebooks. As a reminder, we had worked on the desktops. We were going after the PEGPESHA grant, but we didn't get it. So
We got a very small.
I think 15,000, we had asked for the 50,000, but we only got a portion of it. So that's 50,000. Additionally, we're asking for $30,681 to purchase a new LCD projector and screen for the auditorium here, the Don Gates Auditorium. The LCD projector is broken, can't be repaired, needs to be replaced. The screen is also showing its age. It's original to the auditorium. I think it's a good idea to replace both of those. Not a budgeted for expense, but if we don't replace them, we can't use them, and we use those all the time. So the recommendation is $30,681 for a new projector and screen in the Don Gates Auditorium. If you'll remember, during the budget development process, our budget was reduced $50,000 by the Board of Selectmen. We haven't identified those cuts yet because we were waiting, hoping we'd get here. So my recommendation is that we use $50,000 of that end of year surplus to purchase fertilizer, custodial supplies, and consumables. You will later in our meeting have to take action on a transfer that will identify that as a reduction to the budget. So it's a little cliff, it's a mini cliff, it's like a hill within the budget that we will be purchasing those supplies now and not after July 1. And then the last one is $21,000 for our Wi-Fi license, because as we know, the Wi-Fi went off Friday. We were a little surprised by that. Now, we have this money in the July 1 budget because that's when we thought we were going to have to pay that bill, but we have to pay it now. We can't wait till July 1 because our students and we need Wi-Fi because I'm using it right now, right? So of that 21,000, 15 of it is in next year's budget, and we get reimbursed the other half of that from our participation in E-rate. So what I'm suggesting is we put up front the 21,000, pay our bill, which we've already done, already approved the PO on an emergency basis because we need the lights on, just like we need the Wi-Fi going.
But that will make 15 available in next year's budget, and we're gonna get 11 reimbursed from E-rate. So we'll be whole in that area, but I had to authorize the expense on an emergency basis because the Wi-Fi went out right in the middle of AP tests. So if you add all of those up, if you're comfortable with them, that comes to 151,000. That would leave us 123 to transfer either into Fund 11 or Fund 5, and I'll let you know exactly how much of that when we get into June. So let me stop there and say, are you, without having to think a motion or approve it, I'm just sort of looking for some head nods. And Charles, these are important purchases. We think these are good ideas. Go cut the POs and buy them now.
Are there questions?
I'm confused a little because is this now 275 on top of the 185 we transferred last week?
No, this is, we didn't
The
transfer.
numbers don't add up to the total there. We did 185 last week. Now you want to spend another.
Up to.
Up to
one, yeah.
Oh, so we're not, so, yeah, but I thought the maintenance fund was the important fund.
It is, so.
Now we're not gonna have that because you spend.
We are.
So Charles is saying there would be there, after the purchases of of these important items, there would be about 123,000 remaining that would be moved primarily to Fund 11. With whatever portion we are able to allocate to Fund 5, the lunch balance, or the school lunch fund. Remember Stephanie was checking on how much wiggle room we would have to move funds there, 'cause it's pretty well funded at the moment.
So if everything worked out, it's about 50 grand less than we would anticipate it being in those funds.
Right, yeah, when she was at 185 last, the 185, the motions last time were the superintendent and this business manager are authorized to transfer up to 150 into Fund 11 and 35 into the lunch fund. We haven't transferred anything yet. But we're authorized to.
Yeah.
Right. We will definitely be transferring some amount. I don't think it'll be the full 150. It'll likely be somewhere, if I were gonna guess right now, 100 to 110 into Fund 11, and then 15 to 20 into the school lunch fund. And that we would be able to do that and these other purchases that I just listed on. All of which are essential. We need the projectors and we need screens and the desktops we must have. I mean, we can't not have them.
It's not really unfortunate that grant didn't come through.
Correct.
The amount we hoped for.
The other quick question is, I heard the word desktop and I get, I don't hear people talk much about that anymore. It's always laptops. Why are we buying desktops?
So you need the desktop to run the smartboard and to run the LCD. So that desktop that's networked over here, right, is running, don't help me out, right? Is running. What's that? Sure. Explain how the desktop works in your classroom versus your Chromebook.
So yeah, a lot of the software, specifically in the CTE department and whatnot, are not compatible with the student Chromebook devices. They're higher end industry standard. Think like Adobe Premiere, or the Adobe Suite, the Autodesk Suite. They need a kind of the drive and power that the desktops have, that we could download specifically to them, that the web-based Chromebooks just don't have the processing power to handle.
The regular laptop, I mean, they're faster now than the desktops.
I think that comes down to like pricing and whatnot. We're physically built for a desktop system.
A little cheaper. Yeah. Either, it's interesting to say, either a desktop or a laptop would accomplish some of these things because they have the connectivity and the cords that go into the drops that connect up to the smart boards. Generally speaking, we go with the units, the desktop units that we do the monitors for, because they're a little cheaper. And it's what we do. It's how we're currently networked. And how all the drops are configured to the switches and the data rooms and the head end.
I'm really thinking for portability, if you had to move around for whatever reason, desktops are bulky and big. But if you said, hey, it's half the price of a laptop, then I'd say, yeah, great. But nowadays they're not.
They're also more repairable. You can open up the case and put in a new card or take out and, you know, repair things much easier than with a laptop. You have to send it out.
Right, from my previous conversations with Kurt and Nassar before because I asked the same question originally when we did the grant the first time, back before COVID had hit. And the way Nassar explained it is the desktops typically have a longer lifespan and we get more use out of them. Compared to some of the Chromebook, the laptops, which could have, especially when it's running the software that we have, typically wouldn't last more than like 4 to 5 years or so.
As evidenced by the desktops that we're replacing that have been around so long that they are no longer relevant.
Well, I'll add that Nassar built a lot of those back in the day. I mean, he bought the cases and he bought the motherboards and the cards and worked his magic for a very small amount of money. The other thing is laptop batteries run out. And you can also fry your laptop if you leave it plugged in too long, as I learned. So, you know, really, they're much more versatile for what we use them for here.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So to sleep. Were there other questions about the 4 items that Charles detailed?
I'm curious, this is not about those items, but I'm curious what else was on your list that you didn't select?
Let me get back to you on that. There is a very long list of things we need to do, especially in technology. We can go on about Wi-Fi access points and switches and servers and
Wi-Fi 7.
right, that there's no lack of things that are coming up on end of life. We have some work to do. I'm not prepared to share that tonight, but it's coming. It's coming.
But these were higher priority items for this moment.
Absolutely.
Okay. So good, it's a good question. Are there any other questions?
I guess I just, from my own personal preference, does the staff feel the Chromebooks are adequate versus a laptop PC device? I personally hold on to my laptop. IT has tried to come switch me out for a Chromebook and I, no, thanks. You know, there are platforms that I use. There are times that I'm downloading to a PowerPoint or a Word where you don't have that versatility with the Chromebook. Are those meeting the staff need?
I think the answer would be if you like Windows, PowerPoint, Word, Office, you're gonna like your laptop. If you are comfortable with Google Slides, Google Sheets, Google Presentation, you're fine with your Chromebook. My feeling is Google's better because then it's saved to the cloud. If somebody steals my especially if I'm saving things to my hard drive, see, I'm kind of bilingual. I'm good with PowerPoint, but I'm also good with slides. I'm fine with Excel, but I'm good with Sheets. It really comes down to the preference of what software you like. As far as the device, well, it's a screen and a keyboard. It's more what you're using. So I think it depends on who you talk to. Some people like Windows, Microsoft. Some people like Mac and that version of Word, and some folks are comfortable with Google. At this point, I think most people, at least in our organization, have been pretty comfortable in the Google environment because that's the one we provide. It's also the most secure.
Oh, yeah, I switched to Google before our district did. So, you know, I've been a Google person. I just think there are sometimes, and I'm thinking about like the online scoring system that I use for my assessments only lets me download it to Word. So then if I don't have this device, then I have to go find a desktop to do that work. So that's all I'm wondering is, you know, what the work people are doing. Is it really
Interesting. And that's a really good point, because at that point, I'm sure there are plenty of stories of people out there who have to use their desktop because of things like that they can't use their Chromebook for. And that may be inconvenient because they can't do it from home and they have to be in their classroom. But I think at this point, everybody's got their workarounds.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think Google Docs has gotten much better. It was limited when it first came around, but I think now it's comparable to Windows or to Microsoft Word or whatever. Okay, we're good. I'm
You're
good.
comfortable with that? Then that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Charles. All right, we're here to new business.
And the first item of new business is the appointment of a director of teaching and learning.
I get to make some very exciting recommendations. Chuck, why don't you come up to the podium? So I know we met last week and we talked a little bit in executive session about contracts and position changes, and this was one of the first ones. So when Eric left, right, one of the first people who approached me was Chuck to say, hey, Charles, might you be interested in making me the next director of curriculum and instruction and technology? And so I said, I'm not ready to talk about that yet because I had in mind all of the changes that we talked about last week. So I've never liked the position director of curriculum instruction and technology. I was in that position. It's a Frankenstein's monster of responsibilities. And what we did is we came out of last executive session with a more narrowly focused leadership role called director of teaching and learning. So I am very pleased to be able to recommend Chuck Hirschon for that position. So as you know, Chuck has been middle school principal now for 5 years. Started during COVID, was helping us in that first year with mask breaks and deep cleaning days and AB cohorts and full closure. I mean, holy cow. And helped us lead us through that very difficult time. And the thing that's impressed me most about Chuck is lead us out of that with all of the challenges we had reacclimating students back into the environment after that very disruptive year and a half. And you've all been aware of the mental health challenges and everything that we've needed to do. I can promise you that was most affected, the students who were most affected and where we saw that most pronounced was at the middle school level. That was a very difficult time. I said, because I had a son in 6th grade and watching my children go through that, as well as that cohort of kids go through that. And I can't thank Chuck enough for leading us through that. I know that we may not have Chuck forever. I think that he's looking to grow professionally and learn new positions and take on new responsibilities. He may be on a track somewhere else, but we will use him and exploit him and take advantage of him for as long as we can. And I know he's already started.
They're trying to get me out of here. I'm very excited.
Otherwise, if we work him very hard, as we did with Eric and as you did with me, because it is a very demanding position. He has a lot of responsibilities and that oversee a whole enormous portfolio of responsibilities, but I'm confident he'll get it done because he's already started. Right. So my recommendation to you tonight is to appoint Chuck Hirschon as our Director of Teaching and Learning effective June 1st. Chuck, did you have anything you want to say, or you're welcome to ask Chuck questions? Otherwise, that is an action item.
Right.
Yeah, I'm incredibly honored and appreciative of the appointment. I'm not looking anywhere, by the way. I'm just very excited for the opportunity. It is. I've always said that one of my goals in leadership is to impact as many students as possible. And it is a strange route that it takes you a little bit less directly in working with the students, but then broader in terms of where your impact can be. Curriculum, instruction, teaching and learning, school climate, these are my passions. The RTI, these are where I've been focusing a lot of my work with the middle school over these past 5 years. And I couldn't be more excited to not change anything, but to continue us down. We've been moving towards our mastery-based curriculum and work that Charles and then Eric have moved us towards. And we have an incredible group of teachers here to work with. I met with the curriculum leaders just this past week, and I couldn't be more excited to work with them moving forward.
There are questions for Chuck?
Questions, but I think it's a natural progression from where you sit now to being in charge of the curriculum, because you've had your feet wet and know what it is, you know the kids, and I think it's a great opportunity. And luckily, IT has been taken off your plate, which was really developed when we had one person in probably 10 computers in the whole district. So, and it grew exponentially. So luckily, we'll have an IT department as well, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to, with the IT department, Charles, that might not be what you're interested in, but then when you shifted that and added school climate as a quote that it is focused with, and kind of the idea of not just curriculum instruction, but teaching and learning, focusing on the whole child and everything that we do within the teaching profession, that it's far more than just implementing a curriculum. So I'm very excited to move into this role.
Need a motion?
Yeah, Chuck, I would just say Meg and Stacy and I have had the opportunity to work with you a little bit on the policy committee over the last bunch of months, and it's just been such a pleasure to see your work, and I'm thrilled that you're moving to this role. So thanks for being so willing.
Yeah. Sure. I'm happy to make a motion, to the full board to recommend that Chuck Hirschon, be appointed to be the Director of Teaching and Learning effective June 1st, 2025. Congratulations.
Thank you, Meg. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Stacy. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations.
Next, I get to embarrass Mike Searson. Come on up. So as you know, Mike has been our principal at Brownstone for the past 2 years. It astounded me. I mean, I remember my first year as a school leader. I was all over the place. I was gonna say.
It's been 3. Yeah, it's been 3.
Can we go back and correct that at the end? That's the finishing up today.
I was about to say, you started as a veteran. So yeah, that's right.
A bit more.
Started with the behavior of a veteran. That's where I was going with this, although I did make a mistake on years. But my first year, the learning curve to be an administrator is so incredibly steep. Somebody in this room will soon be about to find that out. But it takes a lot. Sometimes when you're a teacher watching the work of an administrator, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback, right? I mean, it's easy to sort of second guess or think about how you might handle those situations, but it's not until you're actually in the seat doing it and having to understand the demands that come with balancing the teacher, the student, the parent, the superintendent, the secretary, all of the other people with competing priorities. And you're in the position of having to make the decision about those that can make it very complicated. And in order to make that decision effectively, you had better have good relationships and trust built with all of the people around you. That is what has made Mike a success and behaving like a veteran from day one. It impresses me to no end, and I say this about all of our leaders and Sarah and others, how quickly they've established themselves and are able to get people to believe in them and support them so that when you're making those decisions, even when they're the tough ones, people understand you have their best interests in mind, no matter how that decision affects them. And that, I think, is one of Mike's real strengths. And that's what we need at the middle school level, Chuck will tell you, right? His ability to develop that level of trust. And I can't be more excited than for our group of 6th graders who you met tonight, who Mike gets to bring to the middle school. This plan also is going to build tremendous capacity for us to eventually bring the 6th grade to the middle school, as Mike will be in a perfect position, having developed those relationships and understanding those developmental levels of students and having worked with those students in real time. Hopefully we'll get their strategic planning committee and Board of Education and Board of Selectmen as we start to consider that possibility this spring. So I'm delighted to recommend Mike Searson for the middle school principal that is now vacant. Your questions from Mike?
Mike, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, I just want to echo Chuck in terms of how much I appreciate it. And it is not lost on me that this is a special, district, a special community. I get to transition to a new job selfishly, and I get to do it with the same superintendent, the same board, the same leadership team that I get to work with, day in and day out. And I know how lucky I am to be able to continue the work that I've started and the relationships that I've started, not just with those students who I cannot wait to go up there with, but also the families that I get to continue to work with. And I've already profusely apologized to Chuck for the phone calls that he will get from me over the summer, trying to figure out the schedule, but we will get there. I could not be more excited. Change is hard. It's always a little bit bittersweet, and Brownstone is definitely a second family, but I think you'll see in a second that I'm really excited to leave that in very capable hands. So just really excited, really appreciate this next opportunity for me. So thank you.
I'm excited for our students who know you from 6th grade.
Yep.
You're going up to see how they've progressed, which is really an honor and also a fun way to see how they've grown in the last couple of years.
It certainly is.
The fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Comments?
No.
Wonderful.
All right.
I'll make a motion to the full board that we appoint Michael Searson as the principal of the Portland Middle School, and that will be effective June 1st, 2025.
One second. Seconded by Sarah. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, guys.
All right, one more. So now we have a vacant Brownstone intermediate school position.
Hope we have a.
Joe Sanfinier, come on up. Right, so
Do we have a plan?
boy, does this all just come together? Right, I mean, let's just sort of reflect. I'm hoping things go well with Joe, but we have an approved budget, an approved Gildersleeve grant, approved end of year surplus, and an approved leadership team starting June 1st. Like, this is the enviable position that most superintendents would go for, and I'm very grateful to be here. So it's my pleasure to recommend Joe Sanfinier for this position. Now, I've known Joe for the past 8 years. He is a master teacher, incredible at what he does in the classroom, currently works as a math interventionist at Brownstone, and is the sort of teacher in charge when Mike isn't there. So he has some leadership skills and has developed himself in that capacity. He was also, if you remember back several years ago, how many years ago was it when you were the athletic director up here?
Oh, God.
What was that, 4 years?
Was
ago?
it 5 years ago? It's a blur.
Yeah. Right. So, I mean, he's been a teacher, interventionist, teacher in charge, athletic coordinator that crazy year. My goodness, how they sort of blend together.
Summer school coordinator.
Summer school coordinator, our open choice liaison.
Open choice.
Joe has done an awful lot, and golf coach, right?
That's right.
Many time state champion and golf coach of the year in many capacities. Joe is ready for this. I am supremely confident that he has the skills, also has the relationships, and has the knowledge to step into this position. So as you know, it's a 1-year position. That's our commitment, because again, depending on how things go, if we consolidate schools and move the 6th grade up, there's still work underway, but this would build the capacity for that. But I'm confident that, and I've said this to Joe, once he makes this transition, whether it's here or elsewhere, it's likely he's now on a path to continue to be a school leader for the rest of his career. He's assured me that he's ready for this. I've promised him that it is going to be a steep learning curve, but here's the nice thing. Look at all the support he has around him. He has Mike. He has Chuck, who will be his neighbor. Chuck is going to be working out of Brownstone. He has Chuck right up the hill. He has Tracy. He has me. He's going to be highly successful in this position, both as a function of his own skills, but that support network that's around him. Therefore, I'm very comfortable recommending Joe as our 1-year only principal at Brownstone.
Yeah, your resume speaks volumes, and I met you many years ago at summer school, and I know you love the kids and you're very passionate about Portland and student success. So I can't imagine a better person.
Thank
to
you.
lead the 5th and 6th grade.
Yeah, I love Portland community. I've been here for 17 years, which is crazy to think of. Like, I've been here that long now. I've tried to do as much as I possibly could. I'm so proud of all the different things we've done, whether it be here at the high school with athletics, at Brownstone, family engagement. We've had hundreds of people showing up for events. So I'm so excited. We have an amazing staff at Brownstone. So I'm really looking forward to this next step. So thank you for the opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Well, I'll make a motion to the full board to appoint Joseph Santaveneer as the interim principal at Brownstone Intermediate School effective June 1st, 2025. Congratulations.
Seconded by Sarah. Further discussion, questions, comments? No?
I did get to participate in the
Yes,
interview.
I was gonna ask.
For Joe, and so as a Board of Ed representative, and was just thrilled with his thoughtful responses. He came with handouts to multiple questions, and really did such a thoughtful job. And I know he had spoken with staff to understand their thoughts as he prepared for the interview. So just from that perspective, he really, I think, is well suited for this role. He has my full support.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
If there's no more discussion, all in favor? Aye.
All right.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Yeah. Everything. Joe.
The students are gonna be excited, really.
We'll get out to it tomorrow.
Oh, They're all,
Which is
yeah.
Okay.
I hear rumors are already starting.
Zoom was great.
There we go.
Three young guys.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
Congrats.
I get one more. Sorry.
Oh, let's let this happen.
My bad.
Joe, is this your family?
It's my family, it's my wife Lauren, my son Joey, and my daughter Grace, so.
Nice.
So although he was sad I can't do golf.
Certainly there are gonna be some students who are gonna be bummed about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have a great team, and I just want to say too that I really appreciate over the last few years our ability to identify talented members of our staff and faculty and to be able to create opportunities for advancement here so that folks can stay with us. I love that. We have some really amazing people. Thank you all. Yep. All right, next item D is a leave of absence request from Jamie DeRose.
You see, she has her maternity leave request. Put that on the folder, otherwise we would need you to approve that.
Their motion?
I'll make a motion to the full board to approve the maternity leave for Jamie DeRose starting August 2025 until November of 2025.
Second, that seconded by Kim. Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Congratulations. Congratulations to you. So exciting. Organized here. All right. Item E is a discussion about the need for 2 FTE special education teachers. So this was a conversation that we had at the personnel level, and the personnel committee made a recommendation to bring this forward to the board tonight.
So I'll have Sarah come up and talk about this. So again, as Laurel mentioned, this was discussed at personnel. Sarah has a proposal for us that if you're comfortable with, would enable us to retain the current case manager position that we have at the secondary school. If we reduce that position as part of the budget process in hopes that we might find a path to bring it back, and we're going to make a proposal about how we do that tonight. And based on new and developing needs, Sarah has, I think, a very creative idea and a suggestion, again, working within our current budget constraints for how we can expand our capacity in our life skills program at the secondary school. So I'll let you make both those pitches and talk about both the need and then how we're going to pay for them. And then otherwise we'll.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for having me. So as Charles mentioned, this is an addition of 2 special education teachers for the high school. One is a resource case manager, one is for the life skills program. I know the important question up front will be, what's the cost? There's no additional cost to the proposed and adopted budget. So these are both things that we've creatively made them cost neutral, but I'll share a little about how we're going to do that. So as Charles shared, that initial special education teacher cut was on the table at the budget. The Gildersleeve position was restored. This one remained a cut. The concern is that, as we mentioned at the budget workshops, caseloads would be 25 or higher at the high school level. It is a goal of our department to really retain excellent special education teachers and provide great services to students. And a piece of that is making caseloads equitable, manageable, and giving people the supports to support students at a high level. So we really believe that keeping caseloads at industry standard is important. 25 and higher is really quite outside of the norm for public high schools in our state. How we would be doing that, as I mentioned at the previous board meeting, we have one Portland student who was previously outplaced and has unfortunately moved out of Portland. So we would be taking the cost budgeted for their transportation and their tuition and putting it towards the teacher. So that is position 1. Any questions on the resource position? No. Okay, so the second position Charles brought up is a life skills position. As you may remember, our life skills program has gone through many iterations over the years. It's always been a combined program. Currently, it is grade 7 through grade 12 at the secondary complex. There was a time prior to our transition program when it was 7th grade through 22 years of age. So it's always been kind of a combined large program. We were sitting down and looking at projected caseloads and saw that the current program run by Brendan King, who's our fabulous life skills teacher who stepped up into that role from Brownstone, would be 19 students and 9 paraprofessionals. So as you can see, that is again, above industry standard amount of students for a program of that kind. We also have a cohort of students with quite significant support needs coming up from the RISE program at Gildersleeve in 6th grade. So those are students that are working on skills like dressing, teeth brushing, very functional life skills. So they require a significant amount of support, and having a smaller caseload and smaller teacher to student ratio would be really key. So what we propose to do, again, keeping parents in the loop, doing this at the PPT table appropriately, would be to reduce 3 paraprofessionals in that life skills program to fund an additional teacher. So we'd split the program in half. Brendan King would remain the life skills teacher for the middle school, and we would hire a high school life skills teacher to support those high school students. So they would work together, and that is still a life skills program and continuum in Portland, but it would be 2 separate case managers with 2 distinct caseloads. How we're able to reduce the paras is obviously just providing more teacher support. So we wouldn't be able to reduce the paras without that teacher. We would be adding additional classes, smaller class size, more self-contained reading ELA, so students would not need a dedicated adult as much because they would have a teacher supporting them. So for example, in a self-contained ELA class, it would not be 16 students, it would be 4 students. So again, we've spoken a lot about retention being an issue in that program. I think we've gone through 6 teachers in 4 years, maybe 7 in the 5 years I've been here. And a big piece of that is, again, making the position equitable, appropriate, staffing it well, and supporting the teachers. And I think a big piece of that is making the caseload manageable so they're able to be highly effective and support some of our students with our highest needs. So again, that would be a cut of 3 paras to fund that teacher, provide more individualized service for our highest need kiddos. Any questions about the life skills role?
Yeah.
Sure.
It sounds good on paper, but is this ideally, is there any other personnel that you foresee coming in the future that you might need? I mean, outside of additional students coming in from out of town and coming back into, but do you see other additional?
I mean, we've had this conversation with our harbor program often. Our combined specialized programs, Portland's funny because there's certain bubble cohorts at ages, and when those students age up, our programs kind of wax and wane with how many kids there are. I think next in the future would be a conversation about our harbor therapeutic program. Does that eventually split into 2 caseloads? Does it remain combined? Because it is another one that serves 7 through 12, and that is a significantly large age range to serve in one program. So I think that would be a piece that we would look at in the future, doing a similar kind of calculation.
So it would be helpful, for me to see kind of the 3-year plan, if you will. I mean, and that within a 3 to 4 year period of time, you kind of know what the cohort is unless somebody moves out of town or you get a lot of people moving in. But I think that would be helpful in terms of budgeting future needs as well.
Yep.
And it sounds like, I like the idea of splitting and having the smaller groups, because I think these kids need that attention that in large groups they may fall between the cracks.
Yeah, and Dave asked a good question at the committee, which was kind of, why didn't you bring this earlier in the budget season? We knew this cohort was coming, but really we're balancing student needs and providing an excellent education with our fiscal responsibility to the town. So I didn't want to bring forward something I knew was unrealistic in the budget environment, but we were able, when we were doing caseloads, to kind of be creative. So absolutely, Meg, I can definitely look, out. I can say that our cohort that would be serviced by life skills is growing. We're not unique. It's state and nationwide where those very specialized populations are increasing for whatever reason. So I don't think this will be a case where in a year we'll be saying, oh no, we no longer need the 2. Now we're at a surplus. I think we'll only expand from here.
I guess the last question I have, I know that the life skills for 18 to 22 was looking for a place off campus. And has that continued to be a quest for?
Yeah, so we have some exciting moves happening there. We did a field trip to the Nest Coffee House. I don't know if you've ever been there. It's in Madison, but it's a coffee shop that is owned by an agency that services adults with disabilities. So adults with disabilities work there as interns. They then get full-time jobs. It's a very cool business model, but we had a couple meetings with their executive director to talk about either one, having us be a satellite of Nest, or two, kind of using some of their business model to utilize the cafe that we have here at Portland High School. It's still very, very preliminary. We don't have a business plan or anything right now, but Ted Pinto, who you met when he did the spotlight, was thinking, you know, we have this beautiful cafe at the high school. Could we utilize that versus seeking something offsite and eventually go the route of other transition programs of having something that generates revenue for the students? But we're really in this next school year in the research phase still. It is a big undertaking, and we're kind of looking at what resources we have in district.
So you would still continue to house the life skills program here at the high school if that were to happen?
If that were to happen, yes,
If
yes.
not, then have you looked at all for outside, you know, places for off the school campus at all?
We haven't looked. I know that was initially a discussion a couple years ago. I think now Ted's focus and the job coach's focus has really been, could we make this a functioning business? And we have this great resource. It's fiscally responsible. You know, the cafe already exists. It's built. Would we have to maybe cut a door and kind of figure out how, if the community were to use this resource, how we separate the community from the high school? Yes, but you know, the feeling is that, again, is fiscally responsible versus seeking an outside storefront. But again, we're very much in like research phase with that, but it is something that all the job coaches and Ted Pinto are passionate about doing. Yeah.
Good. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So it sounds like you put a lot of thought into this, so I don't want to question,
No worries.
but one teacher replacing three paras, like we think that that's manageable for the teacher to handle that caseload and
Mhm.
the additional students.
We do, yeah. I came out of a discussion with Brendan. We were doing caseload projections and we're looking, and when I said 19 students and 9 pairs, he was like, oh my God, you know, that's just a lot of adults to manage. It's a lot of kids to manage, a huge age range. We have that big cohort coming up. So he was a big part of that decision making. And then we started the conversation with parents at the PPT table of, you know, could we, obviously we're not going to cut paraprofessionals if they're existing in IEPs. It has to be a parent and district conversation. But we felt that, you know, offering more self-contained classes and having more teacher time with students versus paraprofessional time was a good thing. So we'll be offering, for example, the middle school, a daily living block for the students. Again, those students that require like toothbrushing, shoe tying, those kind of skills, they'll have a daily living block to do that versus kind of doing it, you know, in between their other classes. They'll also have a pre-vocational block. We've also talked about Brendan teaching, parallel teaching of social studies science. So if students are able to push in for that time to science, do some of the labs, they can. If they are not able to participate, they will come out to his block, but that'll be almost a co-taught or like a parallel taught model. So I think overall it just adds a higher level of service to students versus paraprofessionals are wonderful, but there's a difference between certified teacher, you know, leading a group, and paraprofessional support throughout the day. Yep.
I'm going to echo something that Meg said, because in the personnel committee conversation, I did voice some hesitancy around increasing the number of self-contained classes. I still have a concern around that. And I am curious, and I think what I'm echoing from what Meg said is, I would love, when you have the appropriate amount of time to pull together, some idea of like, what is your vision for years to come, and how does inclusion fit into that? And is there a space for an inclusion specialist so that some of these students could be in a mainstream classroom without the need for all of the para support,
Right.
because the mainstream classroom educator is equipped to differentiate curriculum. So those are the things that I'd just love to hear a little more, you know,
Yeah.
way down the
Yeah,
line.
absolutely.
But when you can pull together that kind of longer plan strategy.
Yeah,
I'd
that
hear
would
a
be
little
great.
More about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say what has happened over the past years has been that life skills, math and ELA block has always been self-contained, just the size has been large. So it is adding an additional block for the daily living and for the pre-vocational, but past practice has been all those kids are combined for a math or an ELA. So it wouldn't be adding self-contained in that sense. It would just be making the classes significantly smaller, but I totally share. Yeah, no, I absolutely would love to put that together. And I think we have a lot of wonderful staff with great ideas too of how we could do that, because the population is increasing. So it's good to have plan ahead.
Another thing that came up that's worth mentioning, just for consideration during our personnel meetings, that this makes a lot of sense right now with this bubble group moving up to the middle school, but it will very likely continue to make sense numbers wise as we hopefully move towards moving the sixth grade up to the middle school, and the addition of the extra grade may also necessitate the separation of that program, so. I think long term, we're gonna find that that this decision will be sound.
True.
Are there other questions for Sarah about either proposal?
No, I'm thrilled that the high school is gonna get their special ed person back.
Yeah, it was always a priority to put that back.
Yeah, and I know that in the budget process that wasn't gonna happen, but I see Kate over there smiling and nodding yes, so.
Yeah.
And that was one of the goals, was to make sure that we have the appropriate teachers in place. Thank you.
No, and it's such a goal of mine that, you know, we really are mindful about supporting our staff, and retention is such a challenge in special education statewide. And I'm really proud, you know, I want to be proud of the work that we're retaining our excellent staff, we're supporting them, we're developing them. And I think this is a piece of it, of having their caseloads be reasonable.
I think that's a good goal going forward, you know, again, that little strategic plan for your vision for how we can keep, because we do want to keep our people in place. They know the kids the best, and the kids having to go through those transitions of personnel changes upsets them sometimes. The summer upsets them sometimes, you know, when you start all over again in September, so. All right, yeah, sounds good. Do we need to make a motion?
We do.
Well, it seems to be my goal tonight to make the motion, so I'll make the motion to approve, to the full board, to approve 2 FTE special education teachers for the school year 25-26.
Seconded by Kim, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you all so much.
All right. Items F, G, H, I, and J, extracurricular stipends, MOU, technology department redesign, superintendent of schools contract 2025 to 2028, superintendent of schools evaluation, and the Board of Education self-evaluation are all slated for discussion under executive session. So we will, if there's action to take, that will be made after executive session. So we're going to move down to item K, which is the 2025-26 budget transfer request.
Okay, so I'll cover this one for you. So here's a situation where the Board of Selectmen tomorrow night is gonna vote to set the mill rate, and at that point, Tom will put the budget into enterprise and set it, right? So that's when every month you get Stephanie's authorized spending report, right? That shows you our drawdown, right? And we start the year with everything there, and then you see throughout the course of the year, and ideally 25% of the way through the year, 25% of the funds are drawn down. We start to spend that. What Stephanie has asked is that board authorize some transfers now, so that first authorized spending report already isn't out of bounds, right? And 2 things have happened since you approved the budget and since it went to referendum that you're aware of that we now need to account for in the budget. The first one is the van, right? So we're very fortunate to get the $57,000 or $50,000 out of capital to purchase another Chrysler Pacifica minivan, which is now going to be ordered and lettered and will be available to us, hopefully for the summer ESY program. What we can now do is transfer the $57,000 that we had as a transportation line item to pay M&J or Ambassador or another vendor to transport our students. We can transfer that out of 51010 transportation into 101012 non-classified salaries to pay for the van driver that we need to drive the van, the secretary that we had at 0.5, moving that person up to 1.0 FTE to help us manage the routes, because we're now back in the transportation business with 3 vans instead of 2. And of course, the stipend that we pay the secretaries to help do this extra work, because they're potentially up at 5 o'clock in the morning when it's snowing and, you know, van drivers get sick. It's a transportation coordinator. So it takes a lot. It's great that we have the minivan, and certainly appreciate the town and the support, because it's it's going to pay itself back, I promise, and then some. Now that we have the van, but we need the people to operate the van, both on the administrative side and behind the wheel, right? So the first ask here is that we get the funds out of transportation and into classified salaries so we can begin paying the people so that we can operate the van come July 1. And there is a motion there for that one.
And just as a refresher, and for my own clarification, that 0.5 guidance secretary position it serves two purposes. It's important, I believe I remember you and Kate describing that it's important to have somebody in that office, to be the face of that office. But it's also, hopefully a portion of this individual's job will be providing additional support to Olivia and to Sarah to kind of back up Olivia when the portion of her job that's managing transportation is happening.
Yes, exactly. So Olivia has a lot on her plate with the transportation, and she also has a lot of other very, very, very important things to do, like purchase orders and helping manage Sarah's calendar and CT says, and it's a lot, right? And you know, with it, Olivia has done an amazing job, right? Literally with me up at 5 o'clock in the morning watching the weather or getting calls from van drivers who are sick or have doctor's appointments or road conditions are such that, I mean, it's a lot. So we need to help Sarah and Olivia out so that all of the logistics within her department don't fall through the cracks. And we are also managing a staff of drivers and coordinating student routes. And I mean, it's a machine. I gotta tell you, you should watch Olivia and Sarah working to figure out who's getting picked up where, when, and going where, when. It's a thing of beauty, but it requires a lot of time and help. So this is a way to make that work smoothly. So our kids are getting picked up at the right time and dropped off at the right time. And people are getting compensated and all of the things work well.
And some of the changes that happened in the administrative assistant's contract this year make it feasible for this position to be assigned additional duties supporting our special ed team.
Yeah, it was a brilliant change in the contract. It's all come together.
Is there a job description for this 0.5 guidance 0.5 special ed at this point to determine what the duties of this person
It's
would
an
be?
administrative assistant is the job description.
Right.
There is one and there's the bullet in that says, and all other tasks
Right.
assigned by the.
Oh, I know that one well.
So
Yes,
it's my favorite bullet.
oh, all right, so we don't have a special job description for that. All right. All right, well, that transfer should happen because otherwise we don't have the personnel to run the van and or the driver to drive the van. So I'll make a motion to recommend to the full board that we transfer $57,539 from the transportation 51010 to the non-classified salaries 11012 for the school year 25-26 in Board of Ed budget.
Thanks, Mike. Is there a second? Seconded by Sarah. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously.
Great, and I have one more for you. So this is a reminder that our budget was reduced by $50,000. So when the Board of Selectmen met and they did this with all the departments, I thought it was a very fair, equitable process and it involved some discussion. But our budget was reduced from 25,974,086, which was the board authorized budget, by 50,000 to 25,924,086. What we're going to do is we're going to take $50,000 in end of year surplus, purchase fertilizer for our fields, custodial supplies, and then some other consumables to offset that. Again, to be completely transparent, that is a little cliff, right? It's a small cliff, you know, it's very scalable in next year's budget, but it is creating that small cliff. So what we need to do is my recommendation is we don't need to transfer anything, but we need to reduce line item for
supplies
61011 by $50,000 and change your budget from the board approved budget of 25,974 down to 25,924 so that when we post the budget, it reflects the budget that was passed by the voters.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Questions? All right.
So I'll
Reading it
move
again.
that.
Thank you, Meg.
To recommend that to the full board that we reduce an amount of $50,000 from the supply budget, a line item 61011, to bring the total Board of Ed approved budget from 25,974 068 to 25 million. Well, let me do it. Let me say that in the correct. 25,974,086. Bring it down to 25,924,86.
Thanks, Meg. Is there a second? I'll second. Seconded by Stacy. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
All right.
All right. That concludes our new business. We will move on to old business. Just two items. This first one should be quick. This is the nomination of a staff member to sit on the America 250 Portland CT committee. If you recall, the town has formed a committee, the America 250 committee, to work on planning events in celebration of America's 250th birthday next year. They've already been at work, and if you recall from a couple of meetings ago, we had it on our agenda that this is there was, in the formation of the committee, there was a seat reserved for somebody to represent the Portland schools. Charles and I were trying to brainstorm who might be a great fit, and we both were independently thinking of Amy.
Right. Great.
Who is currently teaching science and social studies at Brownstone Intermediate School. And Charles reached out to her and she was excited to do it, which was really great news. And she's already been in touch with First Selectman Pelton. And I don't know, maybe she's already attending meetings, I'm not sure. But I'm just thrilled that she's willing to do it. So
It's an exciting, time for Portland and also for our country. So
yeah, and whatever opportunities there are for our students to be involved, I know that Amy's going to be a great representative.
She will.
Coordinating opportunities for students to participate in this occasion.
absolutely. Well, I move to nominate Amy Warren to serve as the district's representative for the America 250 Portland, Connecticut committee.
Is there a second? Seconded by Sarah. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you to Amy for agreeing to serve on that committee. All right, item B is board education policy. You'll recall this is the second reading from 2 meetings ago. We did not get to revisit it at our last meeting. This is policy 5114, discipline policy. And I believe that this just reflects the minor changes to language
Restorative justice.
around restorative justice to bring us in compliance with state laws and to update legal references as well, I believe.
Yeah. New climate policy.
Yeah, it's part of the new climate policy. Yep.
Were there questions or comments about the policy? If not, is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to recommend to the full board that we accept the policy 5114 as presented.
Seconded by Stacy. Any further discussion?
I would just say that this is a good way to restore students who have gone off the rails to full recognition of their responsibility for what they've done, and also to restore them to the full citizenship of being in school. So it really works well. And it's not, some people misunderstand the policy or the restorative justice disciplinary policy to be, easy on the kids. It's not. They have to admit their guilt and take responsibility for their actions, but it also works to restore them that, we make mistakes and we learn from them and we move on. So I'm happy to see that this is going to be our policy.
And I think it's important to keep in mind too, that this is the practice for a number of years. This is just bringing that language into compliance.
Yeah,
Thanks
and for
that.
school mind.
Yeah. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right. Committee reports. Curriculum meets tomorrow.
Teaching and learning to run it.
And we have a Thursday, sorry, it is only Tuesday.
Yes.
Thank you. Curriculum meets Thursday and we have a director of teaching and learning to work with us on that. Policy
meant tonight, and we're working through any number of changes with the horizon of, probably not in the horizon of ending anytime soon. There's a lot of complicated things that have been coming at us and a lot of clarification that needs to be done, but we are working at the beginning of every Board of Ed meeting for at least 45 minutes to an hour to get a handle on all of this. So our next meeting will be at the next Board of Education on June 2nd, or the 3rd, June 3rd.
Personnel met last week or the week before, and you heard about the two FTE high school special education positions. We also had a brief update about kindergarten enrollment numbers, from Dr. Britton. Right now, it's looking like we're slightly below where we were for kindergarten enrollment at this time last year. So fingers crossed, the 5 sections that we budgeted for will be enough, but, we'll keep keeping an eye on it. Dave, was there anything else? That was it. Buildings and grounds?
No meeting, but it was good news to hear about the boilers, and I'm sure we'll talk in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks.
CREC liaison?
Tomorrow is the annual meeting for CREC. We're, inviting all the superintendents and council members who serve, board members who serve on the council. And it'll be followed by student presentations of awards and a nice luncheon after. So that's tomorrow. Right.
Board of Selectmen.
2 things. First of all, the transfers were approved. Second thing, which is more concerning, and I'm going to just read the agenda title and see if Charles can comment before I read the minutes. Presentation regarding the condition of the high school parking lot. And it was presented by I think the director of the public works or the supervisor. It looks like they brought somebody in from a paving company to give a testimonial. And looks like Mike Hernandez said he knows the process and it's great. I think this is staged by someone that had them come in, it sounds like. And then at the end, Robert Hedrick suggested that a quote be put together for both the high school parking lot and the tennis courts to be presented at a subsequent Board of Select meeting. So sounds like they're going ahead and redoing our high school parking lot without our knowledge. I guess they're gonna pay for it then too.
Well, yeah, I watched that meeting. I sat in on it. It was a little, I didn't quite know that was gonna happen, but did watch the meeting and I did follow up with Bob to ask about it. It looks like, from what I understand, I'm gonna deepen my understanding of it, but it appears to be a type of product that you can resurface the lot.
Step back and tell us, the last time we talked about the parking lot, you thought it was because of a ruckus.
Yes.
Isn't there's any condition issues? There seems to be a condition issue that you're and Bob are not aware of.
Well, to back up,
Yeah.
there has been conversation, it's been on the list of capital improvement needs at the high school to at some point. Not redo, but what's the word?
Repave.
Repave, is it
Yeah.
repave or
Surface.
resurface
Yeah.
the parking lot?
They all probably
So-
need them.
Yes,
Right,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah.
So you should know that the strategic capital committee that's been meeting, that has gone item by item by item through the list of capital improvement needs, has talked about that as a long-term need at the high school, as well as the tennis courts. So that was factored into.
So we
the
talked
list
about a
of
lot of
cap-
things that we didn't get any money allocated for it.
But it's going on, it's included in the list of potential things for improvement through. The strategic capital committee was talking about it in terms of what do we ask for immediate needs for bonding, what do we plan for?
I'm just
future
more
capital
concerned that we
requests.
got to this point where they're going down a path and we're kind of
Yeah.
blindsided. How did that happen?
It showed up on an agenda. I was surprised too. I hadn't, nobody talked to me about it. I was attending that meeting. I was like, oh, this is interesting. I mean, I didn't know, right? But in hearing that presentation, it sounds interesting, right? I mean, it sounds like a very cost-effective and good way. Certainly, if there are any parking lots that need to be addressed, let me take it down to Gildersleeve, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that one is abysmal, right? Compared to the high school, if you compare the two, the high school one is perfect compared to what we have at Gildersleeve, which is a disaster, right? I mean, it's not good at all. But I did hear from the Board of Selectmen in talking about this, that yes, we don't ever want the high school lot to ever end up looking like Gildersleeve, and that therefore, if we are proactive and thinking ahead and taking care of the lot the right way, it won't get to that point where I don't even know how to describe it. It's
Where it gets.
I don't want to trip, like walking on that.
Totally
It's
deteriorated.
It's so I think that that's what I heard them saying is, hey, let's start. But in recognizing that we don't want the high school parking lot to ever look like Gildersleeve, we need to start doing some things to
So
take
my
care of it.
question, what, is it a new process that they,
There's,
is it called a laser
so
repair?
I gotta say, I'm definitely not an expert in parking lot. And there's like chip sealing and there's different ways to do things and grinding it all up and making it nice. But this appears to be a type of product, sounds great, that is relatively inexpensive, that you put it, like you seal it the lot with, and then you can paint it and restore it to a new looking condition. And from what I also understand, which is new to me, is that the tennis courts were similar to the track, that you needed this post-tension
Right,
thing because the back is sinking.
yeah.
But you might not have to go that multi-million-dollar route. If this could get you a usable surface, it may not just be as long-term or permanent as it might be for that. So you know, what I saw in that meeting was, it did surprise me a little because I hadn't been invited into discussions about all of this before.
Director of Buildings and Grounds.
Right, but I'm glad they're having them. And my feedback to the Board of Selectmen is, thank you for being aware of our needs. Let's now communicate and be involved in this so that, you know, as you're paving, we're also not having people that need to park, because we obviously need to work hand in glove, but I also was a little surprised by that, but I'm happy that it's being discussed. I'm not.
But I did take it as a breakdown of communication. Something's not working right. And my gut feeling is there was a selectman that came to the high school that didn't like the condition of the parking lot and took it under his belt to say, we're gonna go down this path without anybody else knowing about it, and I want it fixed.
So there's a lot of methodologies to fix roads and to repair cracks and whatnot.
Yeah.
I am an expert because I live on a road that's got 46 potholes in 3 feet. And today, no, this is really.
I know, I'm sorry.
I mean, no, and I have a $12,000 engineered plan that we can't get the money for. But anyway, that coating or that cloth or whatever, that's a Canadian product. It's fairly new. I don't know how tried and true it is. I looked at it for my road, Freedom Way, which is a private road. We ended up today with a company that does laser repairs, which filled the holes and then went over again and put other layers and heated things up and remediated. And we'll see if that works. But there's so many different ways to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm not
And-
concerned about the actual process and
Yeah.
doing it.
But it's
I'm-
also.
I'm
the
how
way
do
the
we get there?
communication.
Yeah, and we know that really how we get there is that we have an incredibly wonderful director of buildings and grounds who I'm certain will be very well researched. At whatever point he brings us a proposal, or if there is willingness on the part of the Board of Selectmen at this point to have that conversation, whatever recommendation comes to us will come through our director of buildings and
And
grounds.
Bob Shea and
And
I
we
have
should be
had
working
many
closely
conversations about how to repair roads and parking lots.
Well, it sounds like they're already gonna ask this firm for a quote, so I guess we probably just stay out of it and let them pay for it and do it.
But I think on the other note, the tennis court, because of the water and the way it is washing out the back side of it, we should look at repairing it properly, not just throwing a coating on top of it to get another year or two, because that.
But
probably
again,
is-
that recommendation, whatever it is, and whatever point it comes to us, is gonna come through our very trusted
Right.
Director of Buildings and Grounds.
Absolutely.
So I think that's
Agreed.
Process-wise, that's the process. And I will say that the Board of Education remains committed to working in partnership with our Board of Selectmen.
Yeah.
And our first selectmen to get that done, at whatever point they're ready to help us make that happen.
Yeah, and then just one kind of yes and to this whole thing is, I am imagining that sometime in June, if we can schedule, because I know how busy June is, there will very likely be a joint Board of Education, Board of Selectmen meeting for both boards to get together to hear recommendations from the Strategic Planning Committee to address all of these needs, right? So this Strategic Planning Committee has been looking at both at the secondary school and the elementary schools, right? I mean, I think it's great that we're talking about the secondary school,
Yeah.
but we know where our real needs are. I think at this joint meeting, I think it's important that we talk both about the needs and about how we're gonna align our efforts and communicate to make sure that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing. To that end, I agree with Laurel. We absolutely would have liked a little heads up and been invited into that conversation, at some point. Want to make sure that those lines of communications are opening and happening, but absolutely grateful that the Board of Selectmen has recognized these needs because they are real. And
Sure are.
No,
they are. Yeah, agreed.
What's up?
Thanks, Dave.
Youth Services met tonight. They are planning the summer kickoff on June 18th, and it will be face painting and bounce houses, I guess, and books and petting zoos and a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun last year. It'll be better this year. So keep an eye out for that.
Equity and Inclusion Coalition,
We are meeting next Thursday.
and Strategic Capital Improvements Committee has not met since the last time we all met. We're meeting the first week in June. Right, audience of citizens. Anything, John? No. Is there anyone online who wishes to address the board? Board of Ed member comments? Start over here, Sarah.
It was wonderful to see the presentations from the students and the students being recognized for all of their hard work. And as somebody whose kid has been served by the two people resigning, of course, I echo Charles's appreciation for all of their hard work and wish them well.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Great seeing the presentations and congrats to all the administrators in their new roles.
Same thing. It's just, we're very lucky to have the staff that we have, and sorry to see the two people go that are leaving, but we're good. Our little corner of the world is good tonight.
Steve?
Said a side note here, I was thinking of things at the meeting with, we're gonna get an update on the substitute teachers. On, the rates and how good they're doing, how many we're filling. I mean, at some point, that'd be nice to get an update.
Yeah, I agree.
That's it.
Yes.
Stacy?
Same as everyone, just appreciate the presentation by the sixth graders. The leadership, I think, starting early is the key. And again, to our administrative team. So it's nice when all those dominoes fall into order, Charles, right?
The planet the line, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Caitlin?
Nothing much other than congratulations to all the new principals and Mr. Christian.
First off, I'd like to say congratulations to our newly appointed administrators. Secondly, again, a congratulations extended to those receiving the various awards for leadership in our spotlight. And lastly, I hope to see all those rising sixth graders in their leadership roles throughout their time here. And there's a lot of opportunities. I hope they take advantage of them.
Awesome. I would echo all of that and just offer a reminder that the Portland High School Awards Night is happening this Thursday, the 22nd at 6 p.m. I believe in the auditorium. And it's always a really wonderful occasion to celebrate student achievement. So I hope to see you all there.
Laurel, do we need to RSVP? Like, do they need to know that we're?
I don't think they asked for RSVP.
Okay.
I think some events they do, but they
Yeah.
didn't ask for an RSVP. I think just show up and there's usually some seats reserved up front, so. Let's see.
My daughter's birthday, so she gave me permission.
Oh, that's nice. I want to share you.
Yeah.
Oh, there is also, I hope everyone also saw the invitation. You're reminding me, thinking of RSVP, the invitation for the student athletes signing day on, am I remembering June 4th? I think is before our next meeting. So just as a reminder, June 4th at 11 o'clock, is PHS signing day. So if anyone is available and willing to attend, I think that they did ask for an RSVP for that one. But you can throw that on your calendars. All right, we're gonna move into executive session. And I would just ask for a motion. This is for the purpose of extracurricular stipends, memorandum of understanding, technology department redesign, superintendent of schools contract, superintendent of schools evaluation, and board of education self-evaluation.
So moved.
Thank you, Meg. Is there a second? Oh, and we're gonna invite Dr. Britton to join us.
Yes.
Thank you, Meg. Is there a second? Seconded by Kim. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Liam, did you get a chance to look at the date for that training?